Hello, my fellow uh, Star Trek card freaks. So today we're going to open a Rules of Acquisition box here. It's one of the two we have here. I'm going to split the other one up into smaller groups. But we're at least going to open this today. It does have a rules sheet in it. Yeah, let's get started. So this is arguably primarily a Deep Space Nine set, but also it's the big, add all the Ferengi in. So there are a number of Ferengi from various episodes all over the place, but there's a lot of Deep Space Nine, and what little non-Ferengi stuff is in here is also Deep Space Nine. So we got a Ferengi shuttle, Ferengi pad, Cabritarian vessel here, which is a Gamma Quadrant because it's that Dorkora Marauder, Ferengi Conference, Moogie. All right, so Ishka is the here, which is Nog and Worf's. Or no, not Worf. Nog and Quark's mother. Then we got a Ferengi bug, Sovak, and deliver message to Ferenginar. So that's good there. Of course, obviously being Ferengi, there's, stuff like Nog and Lek in here. There's also the USS St. Paulo, which is the Defiant 2, if you're familiar with that. So, I'll go with Defiant 2. Anyways, it had a name redispensation, and I just renamed it Defiant again. So we got Frollo, emergency evacuation, Dr. Brolis. First rule of acquisition: once you have their money, never give it back. Incoming message: Ferengi, the scepter of the Grand Nagus. Runabout search. Kazango. So this is from that episode with the derelict Stargazer. So it's Bok's first officer. So uniquely, he has honor, not a super common thing. And Bitra, who was telling Picard that, hey, Bok got out of jail because he bribed everybody until he got out of jail. Which, needless to say, didn't thrill Picard. Market research, emergency evacuation, cargo bay. So this is a location on Deep Space Nine. It's a universal location, so there can be multiples. It also goes on any NOR, not just Deep Space Nine. Navarre, who's an entrepreneur. The Crossroads. And here's our rare here, Elizabeth Lease. So, so Bashar's medical rival. Ferengi rules of acquisition. Parlindor, who's emissary of the Ferengi trade mission. And Forced Labor Camp, which is the labor camp that Kira and Dukat go to. I think it's the labor. I think that's that labor camp. There might be more labor camps than I'm totally comfortable with. So You got a Ferengi conference again. A Burrell class surplus Klingon bird of play. Ferengi tactic. Ferengi weapon. This was the set. I believe this was the set right after Blaze of Glory, so that's why it has tactics in it. Market research, which is a universal Ferengi mission. Gold press Latinum. And here's the Barine Creme 114, which is our rare. Then there's Pell, who is an uncommon. Runabout Search. And another Kazago. So I think this is sort of like commons first, and then the rare, and then uncommons, but I'm not positive. The game itself switched from packed, or from box to box, depending on how it was done. So it definitely is one of those things where you can have more than the other. We have Froll again in Lat 2. Duro Marmota, market research. Sorry, just shuffling slightly because I. Currents. And Quark's Treasure. Benil. It's a Ferengi bug. And Burrick, who was one of the people who tried to take the Enterprise during the episode Rascals, where Guinan, Ro, Picard, and Keiko got turned into children. Well, it's a transport. There we are. Jem'Hadar. And this is an Alpha Jem'Hadar. So no Gamma logo. So it's an Alpha Jem'Hadar. Another Burrell. In fact, that's the second in that pack. Here's the Jovis, which is Kivros Fadros. Thalo. 47th rule of acquisition: do not trust a man in a better suit than your own. In the Pale Moonlight, which is the best Star Trek episode ever. And Mardia. So, which is a Bajoran Ferengi. Lita is also in this set, so hoping to pull one of her. Because who doesn't want more Lita in their lives? Cardassian patrol ship. Established trade route. Solok. Latek. Crossroads. And a USN Paulo. Another Pell. Runabout research. And another Kazago. So, nice to see another Defiant. So that's good. Rule of acquisition 211. Employees are like the rungs of the ladder of success. Don't be hesitant to step on them. Tar. Ferengi pad. Kolar. Ferengi outpost. Kukalaka. Morta. Strange Bedfellows. And it's only a game. As if that's not sounding bitter enough. So, Lunk. Gold Press Latinum. Dangerous Liaison. Camarilla Vessel. Proc. There we've got a Nog. That's very nice. A Nog is very nice. Suit. Funny, we've seen those 3 cards in that order. All right. Let's work on this. Establish trade route. Solak. Latech. Crossroads. Transport. Here's a rare. Kraton, which is Togs. Marauder. And he imprisoned the Troys. Small cloaking device. 75th rule of acquisition. Home is where the heart is, but the stars have made a latinum. And then there's a toll. A science officer. Maybe not quite as greedy as a regular Ferengi. Collect sample. Tar. Guy. Vacuum dissected remains. Ikata. So the first. This is the one that fought Worf. This is the one where he sits there and goes. How does that line go? He goes, I cannot defeat this Klingon. I can only kill him. And that no longer interests me. It was a great episode. I really loved that episode. Or, actually, it's technically 2 episodes. We get our Mortalk back. We get a lot of stuff. It's really cool. Chameleon Vessel again. Crossroads. Bribery. Ferengi know their bribery. That was trade routes. Patrol Vessel. Sustain. Toll. And then Torg. So that teddy bear apparently is a rare. And I've got 2 of them. Yes. Delightful. Doctor playing with mechanical stuff. Rule of acquisition number 1. Incoming message. Dangerous liaisons. Thing. And then Brunt. Brunt. The backstabbing Jeffrey Combs played character. Yep. FCA twice. Treachery twice. Navigation. Law, greed. Computer skill. And you can download the Writ of Accountability. Yeah. Rule 33 of acquisition. Never hurts to suck up to the boss. Strange Bedfellows. These 2 cards seem to... They must be next to each other in the cut sheet. Because they seem to be next to each other a lot. So, anyway. Make do. Alright. So Nova, which is a really interesting card because he's a common and he's a VIP. And you can have a whole bunch of them. But he has like greed, leadership, FCA, and biology. 21st rule of acquisition. Collect sample. First rule of acquisition. Ferengi Disruptor, which is interesting here because they're normally phasers in the actual show. And then we have an artifact, which is a Starry Night, which is Fagio had it. It's an artifact. Strange Battlefellows. Rule 34. War is good for business. And then a Pell. So, we'll see. I'm wondering if these two rules of acquisition are going to be consecutive boxes or not. I can, look at the numbers a little later and see, but it is something that's interesting to me. Cargo Bay. 211th rule of acquisition. Full transport. Gold press platinum. Quark spar. Center of attention. Pell. And Ferengi disruptor rifle. I'm not sure why they're called disruptors in this. Pretty sure they're phaser rifles, but whatever. Not a big deal. Do you like Nausicaans? Because there are some Nausicaans in here. And they have Grumbia. Scientific method. Ferengi energy weapon. Krunks. Oh, look, the same Nausicaan in the same pack. Jesus. Lamek, who is our rare. Toll. Strange Bedfellows. And war is good for business. Alrighty. Dangerous Liaisons. Ferengi. Solok. Cargo Bay. First rule of acquisition. Rom. Rom, whose dual affiliation is Ferengi and Bajoran, which is interesting. He also has a cunning that is variable, so it can either be 4 or 9, whichever is what you require, I believe, is how that works. And then we get Beatra, which is the only second time I've seen that. We have a small cloaking device, and Rule 76. So, definitely an interesting round of cards. And we got first rule. Bring on Disruptor. Koloth. Gold Press Platinum. Law. And this is our rare. Lurin. We got bodyguards, small cloaking device, and Goss, who spent far too much time just trying to get a chair at the table, rather than actually doing something useful. So, it is what it is. Gold Press Platinum, Dangerous Liaisons, Vessel, Prak, 211th, and Mehatidu, who is the servant of Grand Nagasak. HQ for a credit exchange, a Goss, and a Friggy Rules of Acquisition. Just trucking right along here. Moving along. Ferengi Conference. 6th rule of acquisition. Never allow family to stand in the way of opportunity. Ferengi Outpost. Rock. Ah, yes. Calandra. Oh, it's Gila. Owns his own moon. Is cowardly. Almost gets everybody killed. Yeah. That's what I got to say about him. I mean, not a bad card, to be honest. You know. I mean, he's grade 2. Alright. So we got Tar, Ferengi Pad, Kalis, Thing, Eldolon. Hey, Ducat's Bird of Prey that he captured. That's our rare. What? I understand. Of course, you gotta have Ducat. I think he's in Deep Space Nine. I hope. It is what it is. Brawl, Bird of Prey. Fool. Very grouchy old DOS. Basic Marauder. Market Research, which we haven't seen. Continuing Committee. Well, it's a rare I don't have. 59th rule of acquisition. Free advice is seldom cheap. That's a barrel. And Beta. No. They're 100 apart. So that doesn't bode well to the idea of maybe getting stuff. I mean, basically random. There is a thing of if they're consecutive that you might be able to pull out some non-copying. But given you can get copies in a box, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. So Nava, Crossroads Full, Emergency Evacuation, and Bractor here is a daemon. This was the Holloway War Games, where he was sitting there going, that makes no sense. And then they do the whole fade and thing, where it's like, yeah, shoot at us, and if we do this right, you will not hit us, because we won't be there. If we do it wrong, well, okay. That's its own thing. Incoming message. Ferengi Disruptor. Calandra. Indagaro. Establish trade route. Patak. Oh, no. That's not how you say that. Pathak, I think. He is the commander of the Pi. He's arrested with Stain, but he refused to use stuff from Worf, who was being grouchy about giving it up too. So, yeah, there was that. Objective and Nabor, which Nabor is the guy who Riker was playing chess with, and they kept. So eventually Riker managed to get him to let him out so that he could see the board better. Needless to say, that didn't work out well for him. Gold Press Latinum. Ferengi Shuttle. Quailor. Ferengi Pad. Nomal. Phase Cloaking Device. So this is the Phase Cloaking Device from the Pegasus. So that's always fun. And Purchase Moon, which is something we haven't seen. So I think it's an uncommon. Buy Quark his moon. Also has a variable point thing, depending on how many Latinum, how many Gold Press Latinum you discard for it. So. Okay, Cole. Gold Press Platinum, speaking of the devil. Navarre. Market Research. Emergency Evacuation. And Deas, who is the Vorta in charge of that thing. And then we get Hannock, who is the minister that Quark and him disarm a warhead that somehow penetrated the mess hall, but didn't go immediately off. So basically became a 50-50 thing, and it just shows that gambling kind of aspect to it. So it was a very interesting way to do cultural exchange. This is all I gotta say. Bribery, Latek, and Lack. Everybody's favorite Ferengi assassin. And then we got Hamrock, and then that. Those we saw last pack. So, well, that's fun. Okay. We're down to the last three. So, you know, we've seen him a bunch of times. Ferengi Conference. Rel Ferengi. Market Research. Here we are. We have Alora. Who's a Dabo girl? You read this description here and you're like, is she perfect? It sounds like she's perfect. And then we have a plasma energy burst, which I think is the first one of that we've seen. Here's a Barak, which we have seen before, but I think that plasma energy burst is the first time we've seen that. So, all right. Ferengi Disruptor. Proc, Dangerous Liaisons, Thing, Family, Quark's Isolinear Rods. And then we have Ambassador Kretzy, Forced Labored Camp, and Kazargo. I'm trying to think if we've seen a Kazargo. All right, last pack. So what would really be good for this last pack is to have a Quark in it. That would be really good. Ferengi Shuttle, Quill, this, Naval, Ship, Horgath. Who's Horgath? Well, he's a arms trader that Quark deals with for a while, and then he sets him up. Tuluberry wine negotiations. So that's also a thing where that's the first one we've seen in that thing, and then that. All right. Thank you for joining me this time. It's good to see you all. Looking forward to that. So subscribe if you want. Live long and prosper. And you have a very good night.